I'm sure this video is going to go a lot deeper than I'm planning, just because I'm thinking it in my mind. All the little nuances to building the life that we dream of and how far we have to go from the beginning through to the end. And it's quite profound, to be totally honest. And I think sometimes, well, in most cases, we don't give ourselves enough credit for the journey we've been on. So, of course, we're always expecting more, we're always expecting the best, and not realizing really what got us to where we are. And we should maybe be a bit more respectful of ourselves at times. So let's start off by giving myself a round of applause. It was my birthday yesterday. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm a serious individual, but I can be very silly, goofy as well. So yeah, that's the thing with me. I've got this like dualistic personality where I can switch at a given moment, and I think that shocks a lot of people. So, for instance, someone might get a light-hearted version of me, and I'll be really, really nice and that. But as soon as they are disrespectful, I switch in an instant. So I have that dualistic nature to myself where I can be fun and life of the party and things, but I can also be very stern, stoic, and I can cut people off so fast. And I can be quite confrontational when I choose to. But I'm someone who calculates in an instant. I'm a very fast processor. So I sort of like imagine all the outcomes immediately of a situation. So I know the best, well, what I consider the best course of action. Sometimes a lot of the time it's not worth the hassle. So you just like, nah, just cut them off. It's easier. Don't need a conversation about it. Gosh, I've already processed it all in my mind. Now that's not what this is about, but yeah, just sort of get there. So this come to be me talking about this because I've been quite frustrated in my life, and this isn't like I always say, I'm not looking for a pity party. This isn't that. I just think it's really important to be self-reflective. I think quite often, to be totally honest, I'm not someone that glosses over anything with my life. So I don't convince myself everything's hunky dory. You know, life's all fairy tale and rainbows. It's all beautiful. I'm so happy. If I'm not happy, I'm not happy. But that doesn't mean I'm not happy with me. It doesn't mean I'm not proud of myself. And I think that's the thing that often people skew in their mind. You can be unhappy with your circumstances, but it doesn't mean you have to hate who you are. They're two different things. Quite often, life isn't fair. So if it's not fair, that's not always a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your circumstances. So I can't share the video that I come across earlier. I think it was earlier yesterday. I think it's like one or the other. It's only a very short video. I get a lot of signs in my life. When I say signs, I get number synchronicities. I get a lot of like, for instance, on TikTok, I'll get videos and it'd be like constant. Even if I don't even interact with that video, and it goes in phases of my life. It's really strange, and people can put it down to whatever they want. I've had it happen for too long for it just to be happenstance, you know. I even had a situation on my birthday. Well, it was my birthday the day before. And my daughter noticed the 11:11 and she said, claim, because we do things like that. And then I said, oh, you claimed 11:11. And then I sent her a screenshot of a video I'd just seen, literally after she had said that. It wasn't very long after. And it had 1,111 likes. So she got 11:11 on the clock. Then I got literally the same thing in a video. No, that was outrageous. And then I started seeing it on the timer as well later in the day. So I've got screenshots on my phone of those exact times, which is really weird. But in this video, this person said, I can't even remember exactly what she said now, but a lot of time, I'm not trying to be arrogant here or like I know everything. There's always room to learn. But the more you're in touch with yourself, you're in tune with your journey, your destiny, and you've invested in yourself, you're not always going to learn off other people. You know, so I might come across a load of content, and all they're doing is a lot of time nowadays, they're just telling me what I already know. It's just reaffirming. Earlier in my journey, it was educating me, and then it was for me to discern what's true, what should you believe, and it's like figuring it out based on my own journey, though. You know, so it's not about being gullible. So it's up to us to interpret signs and then the deeper meanings to life and the things we're going through. But like I say, recently, it's not really. I'm not being educated. I'm just more being reaffirmed what I already know. But this video come up, and I was like, that was great because it made me think for just a moment, and I love it when things like that happen. I can't remember exactly what it was now. But I know, yeah, that's what it was. It was saying you've evolved more than you realize because now you can go with the flow more. Before you wanted answers to everything, you wanted to control everything. You always felt you should know and you should always be in control. And that was how you was navigating life. Because and I thought about it, I thought, yeah, like that's normal. That's what you want. You want control of your life. But when you're going to align with maybe your biggest blessings and you're going to align with a better life, it's going to require substantial change. And you being in control of that specifically all the time isn't going to be beneficial because you need things to be able to align with things, So your life has to sort of unravel away from the life you've already had to align you with something better. And that's what it was saying. And I just thought, yeah, that's exactly what's been happening lately. There's been my point there is there's been growth within myself, literally deep fundamental growth that I hadn't even really given myself credit for. Because sometimes I get frustrated by circumstance thinking, well, it doesn't make sense because I don't consider myself a different person than I was perhaps a year ago or 2 years ago. And like I was saying at the beginning there was versions of me in the past where I recognized the growth in a period. So I would recognize how I'm not. Maybe I was really stressed when I was younger. I'm a bit more of a hothead, frustrated with things so quickly, and I was quick to temper, and that was fading away. I was becoming more in tune with myself and not so reactive, getting a bit more maturity of my emotions. So that has a huge, profound change on me as a person. I recognize the evolution, but recently I don't recognize the evolution so obviously, because I recognize I've already evolved beyond that side of me. But when that was said, when more of the flow state, I thought that is an evolution. That's an incredible evolution. So then I thought to myself, well, let's say life does improve. And let's say it was to improve in the near future. Well, now it makes a bit more sense because before I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I waiting so long? Why is it life doesn't just work out? Why am I still in this state of limbo where things seem unfair? And it's because it hadn't truly released control. But it takes time to do those layers. So yeah, I've hopefully this is helping people. I know I'm not probably. It's probably why I get like that. Some videos I think you haven't articulated things well. I'm even in the middle of a video. I'm thinking this could have been better, but it's all raw to me. I literally had this video either last night or this morning, and I was just processed it immediately, and I had an idea of the video I wanted to do, but not really planned out so much. And I said, like before at the beginning, it's probably going to be quite deep because we'll go to levels here because I'm always transparent with my journey. I'm always honest, even if it's going to make me look any bad, laughable, even people can ridicule me. I don't care. That's the thing with me, though. That's the thing. What you see is what you get. I've never cared about people's opinions of me and things like that. So I'm not insecure. That's not something I carry with me. So if I give parts of myself and people think, oh, ha, ha, they're like this, that's who I am, man. I don't, why should I be embarrassed if that's who I am? I can't be embarrassed of me. Makes no sense. Because then to me, for someone to not make fun of someone and you not to be an embarrassment would mean I'd then have to take on the persona of someone else. That makes no sense at all. So it just means I'm not aligned with that person. That's fine. We're not similar. It's good. Just chill. So yeah, we're going to have to go a bit deep than I planned, of course. Because where am I now? Where am I now? I've done my 7th book. I am so proud. And for me, it's deeply frustrating on 2 levels. One is I know what I've done can help so many people. It's crazy. And I struggle with it because I don't like self-promotion. I don't want to keep going. This book's great. Try and read this book. If you're going through struggle, especially if you've got someone who's got mental health problems or they have suicidal intentions and things like that. I know my books will literally change their whole perspective on life. They can save lives. And that is why I wrote them. Like for some of them, they come from things like that. One of them, I think it was Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul, come from people there's so much hate in the world. I just couldn't get my head around it. And I was like, people need to stop with this shit. And that was where that was born from. My new one, Follow Your Dreams, to I have so many titles now. Oh, Sparkle Your Soul. I consider it a masterpiece, and I know it's a big thing to say, but I'm reading it and I'm saying it's so empowering, like so empowering. But how do I get people to see that? Unless they buy the book or at least read the sample and open it and read the pages on the book. You know, I can't magically open the page and make everybody just embrace them. So for me, it's frustrating because I know how good they are. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't feel it. And it's not a case of, oh, I did this, so it's great. It's just, I know it can save lives, and that's what bothers me the most. Yeah, I want my life to improve. I've suffered for too long, man. I've suffered for too long, and I've given so much of myself to this. But it's bigger than that. It's always bigger than that. So I get frustrated with my circumstances because it does get, financially, it's unbearable at times. Like when I say unbearable, people wouldn't understand. They wouldn't realize how bad it is quite a lot of the time. You might see me buy something. So I've got a physical media huge TikTok channel. I treat myself to films, but they're not expensive. You know, it's like $4 for a $5 on Blu-rays, maybe. And sometimes I spend beyond my means because I just want to make myself happy. I want something nice for a while, and sometimes bills are getting missed, and it's not ideal. If we're going to be, the reality is with my life right now, if we're going to be 100% practical, I'm going to be miserable, and that's just being honest. Okay, I look. And again, as I said, I'm always going to be honest. I have things I could be happy with, sure. You know, if we're talking about entertainment around the home, I've got plenty of video games I can play on my PC. I've got a big Blu-ray DVD collection. I've got VHS. I've got a lot of things to keep me entertained. But it's always nice to have something just a little bit new, something else, something just to, oh, this is nice, rather than consume the same things all the time. It adds to the library of things you have, so you've got more options. To always go without, it's not a nice feeling. And people, obviously everybody's aware of this. That's why they buy themselves things. And even if, like, I can treat myself to those things, but what I can't do at this moment in time, and it's ridiculous when I look at what I've done. I'm not looking for sympathy. It's just a reflection. It's not fair. I've worked too hard for too long to be struggling all the time, you know? But I can't, personally in my life right now, I can't afford a takeaway. I got myself a McDonald's on my birthday. When I drove to the McDonald's and got it, it's cheaper to go and get it than it is to get it delivered. So I did that for myself. I thought, I want something. I'm having a McDonald's. And it's like some months, yeah, I can have takeaways. I can have McDonald's. Other months, I can't even do it. I can't even get it because it's like, this is outrageous. And it's unbearable, you know? Again, we're not looking for sympathy. It's a reflection of self. But sometimes I just want something, though. So like I've been buying myself a few films, treating myself. So what I've been doing, my daughter lives with her mum, and we talk an awful lot. Sometimes she'll go a few weeks where she's just hanging out with her friends, not doing anything. And other times she just really wants to talk to me. I kid you not. Past few days she's been off school because she's not well, and she just wants to be in my company. So she phones me. Can we call? And we'll be calling. We'll be on. And this is not even an overreaction or anything. This is not me oversaying anything. We've literally for the past 3 days, every day. Well, not my birthday because I drew a line in that. I wanted to actually enjoy myself a little bit. Not really, it might sound bad, but she had me on the phone for 12 hours. 2 days each, 12 hours. We was on the phone from freaking 11, about 10 or 11 in the morning till about the same time in the evening. It's crazy. I can't do anything. But, you know, I never want her to feel alone. I never want her to feel like I'm not there for her. So I had some films I wanted to watch, some things just to break up the day, just do different things. I've even got other books I want to write, and I just wanted to start like tapping into them a little bit. I just wanted to even just an hour here, an hour there. I've bought my own book. I want to read it all in book form, and I've only got through a few chapters of that because I only got it a few days ago. So I'm thinking I'm on like chapter 5 or something. My mum's read the whole book. She loved it, and that was nice. You know, because you can argue family support. It's not that. She'd be honest. And she read half the book in the first day she got it, and then the other half the next day. And that says a lot because she's someone I consider a bit like Dory sometimes. Like her mind just gets distracted. But she didn't. She just stayed and enjoyed the whole thing. And she said she's proud. And I thought, that's nice. So she sees the struggle I go through financially and the situations I go through, but she also gets to see what I like about it. She gets to see my mind clearer, as clear as you can see it, because you get to read what I'm actually thinking in the book. Plus, I say with my daughter, we just talk all the time, and it's comforting, you know. But on my birthday, I made sure that I had some time for myself, and then we just chatted for the rest of the evening. Can't remember why we got onto that, to be totally honest. Oh yeah, that's where we got that. So even though my finances are tight as shit, like really bad, well, yeah, I have spent on her more than I probably should this month. I think, considering I'm struggling to cover all my bills, I've spent about £100. I think I give her so far. So I got myself a McDonald's, so then I knew she wanted McDonald's because she knew I had McDonald's, and I wanted her to have something. So I said, "See how much it costs to get it delivered at your end, and I'll send you the money." So then I sent that was £15. So I sent her £20. So then she got another fiver to spend in the shops. I bought her colouring pens. They were 15 quid. There was something from Amazon. I think I spent about 25 quid from Amazon from colouring pens. And then in there, I put some chocolate and some crisp Pringles. So she got a little box of things. I sent her 20 quid to £20 so she can. Before that, I spent about £20 so she can get something in the shop. She bought herself a brand new pair of jeans. I thought she was going to spend it on like a Starbucks and things, but she didn't. And then I sent her because she likes. I've got my massive physical media collection: my DVDs, my Blu-rays, VHS, vinyl, CDs, whatever. You know, it's been a lifetime. There's a lot of stuff, and she's enjoying collecting hers in bits. So I sent her. I've ordered her some films as well, and that's been coming in bits, like different boxes. That's been cool. But yeah, so the way I see it, and I know people can see. Look, none of us are going to be exact examples of each other. We're not always going to make the best decisions. But personally, the way I see it is if I can't cover all my bills in a month, and I know it's not the best way of thinking, but life has to keep moving, though. We can't all suffer forever, you know? I rather I suffer and she's happy. So I'm not going to wait for my life to be happy, like perfect, for her to finally have stability. No, no, no. I want her to have stability. My life at the moment is unstable. I accept that. There's no point, and this is how I see it. And I know people won't see it the same way, but it's fine. The way I see it is my life right now financially is not 100% stable. Debts are not as bad as an average person because I've dealt with them in the past. So, like, when my finances improve, it'll only take me a month or two, I reckon, maybe 3 months at the most, just to get myself in order, and then I'll be fine. So it's not deep, but it's enough that every month's compounding on each other, and there's pressure because certain are getting missed. But I say I'd rather I suffer at my end than she does, than we both suffer. So I'd rather give her things I can, knowing that she's taken care of, and I'll take the hit on my side because I'm struggling anyway. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point. I don't see the point of me struggling and then extending it over to her struggling. Sometimes, yeah, she doesn't. I can't. Maybe I say I can't give you pocket money this week, or I can't do this week, and she understands that. But I don't want that to be every week. I don't want her to have a life like that. I want her to be happy. She's not spoiled in any way, believe me, which is why I want to do it for her. If she was spoiled, then there would be a different reaction. But she's not. And again, this is me just being transparent with things. So the reason I've put this flow state in the title, divine timing and flow state, is because it's so important. There is a naivety, I guess, in it that people might attach a circumstance to. But so I've outgrown a lot of my past. If you've seen my book, you've seen my work. If anyone's seen it, you'd understand what I'm capable of in terms of where I communicate, my writing quality, what comes from my mind. And I consider, so what it is, I consider two parts of myself. If you're going to talk about work, I consider my mind valuable. So I wouldn't give it away cheaply. If we're talking about me doing physical work, that I don't hold so dear. I mean, it's your time being used, but you're being rewarded for it. But when it comes to my mind, it's not about time, it's about the resource. And I consider it valuable. So there's no way I would ever let anyone exploit that for very little gain. If that, so for instance, I can go and do a traditional job, work in a warehouse, logistics, operate forklifts, do things like that. I don't expect to get paid really well for it. It's just I'm getting paid like a reasonable wage, just like everybody else. If it's I'm going to do something, maybe it's work on a podcast, whether it's going to work on a TV show, whether it's going to be anything and everything, like writing my books. That's not something I'm going to give away cheap, because that's part of me. That's the way I see it. Those other jobs are not part of me. They're just something I can do. The creative side, that's me. So without me, it doesn't function. So I've been wrestling with my mind, because I just don't see the point of keep going backwards to go forwards. It drives me crazy. Every time I do another book, I just think you're adding to the layers here. So why would you go? The way I compare this to, and it's obviously it doesn't make sense, because in that situation they have the resources to do that. But I think to myself, an actor, for instance, you don't really see an actor. Let's say you don't see someone be an actor and then they go off and between movies go and work in McDonald's. I'm not putting anything down, but you don't see people of profession in the creative capacity always take steps back like that. They just focus on the craft. With me, I haven't had my breakthrough, and it's frustrating because I know I know I don't want to keep saying great at what I do. I mean, I have an aptitude for what I do. Let's leave it. Let's put it there, maybe. So me going backwards makes no sense to me. It's like, what? Why am I going there when I've already outgrown that shit? That doesn't even. The reality is, it doesn't even interest me. So in the past, I would have interviews, and I'd do really well in interviews because I wanted the role, I wanted the job, I was excited to take on the challenge. Now, I'm applying just because it's a means to an end. I actually don't care about the role. I don't even want to do it. I just want the money. So there's a disconnect now where I'm not enthusiastic, even though perhaps I should be, but I can't make myself enthusiastic about something that I'm not even excited to do. So how I come across in interviews or even get to the interviews, I got no idea at this point. It's just because I am not that interested. It's boring to me now. I've been in so many like warehouses and things. It's like, if you walk in, you go, I've been here a million times over. It's just shit now. I said, I've lived this lifetime. You know, we talk about lifetimes. I've lived this experience. It was fun when it had it at the beginning. I'm bored now. So weirdly enough, and this is where we're going to get onto the flow states. I think it's important. It's when finances get strained, it's really hard to see the positives in our life, isn't it? It's something that can cause an awful lot of misery. And things have been happening to me that I don't think people would believe. They probably think you're making excuses. And again, it doesn't bother me what people think. I'm the one experiencing this. I've had this numerous times now over the past few months. And I just can't figure it out. It's just crazy to me. I'll apply for a job, and it'll be in warehousing, and I'd be working a warehouse role, just a normal warehouse role, or it'll be operating a forklift. Either or the other. Now, I consider them different levels. If we're going to talk, I think forklifts are higher advanced position than just someone just working a menial warehouse role. Because warehouse role is physical, demanding, you get exhausted, you can hurt your back, you can do all sorts of things. Forklift at least takes the pressure off that. A machine can do the work, and you're operating that machine. So I often think, why am I going for a warehouse role when I've got the forklift? It's not a huge step up, but it's still a step up. But there's only so many of them. So anyway, that's why I say we're applying for warehouse roles and sometimes forklift roles. And I'll get someone on, and I'll apply. Sometimes I don't get anywhere now, sometimes, and I think that's outrageous. Like my CV or resume, whatever you call it, I've got a lot of experience. I've got so many different forklifts and things. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm not being rude. It's just in the past, I used to get offered so many roles. It was crazy. I used to get offered loads. And now I don't even get a response to some. And others, they're enthusiastic when they talk to me. And we're talking on the phone, it's flowing, it's good. And you think, this is great. And it might even be an agency. And they say, we're going to put you in, we're going to advance your application and we'll see what happens. And now, I don't chase anything. I don't chase nothing. And I think people think you should, and I get it, you should be proactive and chase it. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I've already given I've put my CV resume in. I've had the conversation. It's now up to them to update me on the situation. Now, I understand people could get busy and things, but for me, I consider it a professionalism. Communication is two-way. So if the last thing they said is, I'll get back to you, then I hold people to their word. That doesn't mean I'm getting back to you. You're getting back to me. So if they don't get back to me, I don't chase it. Now, I know some people would say, oh, you should chase it. For me, it's a principle thing. And I know, look, you could argue my situation's compromised in a way, and maybe you should be doing those things. But it's still, no. I'm not begging no one for anything. I don't care how hard my life gets. I've put myself forward. I've said I'd be interested if the role, even if I'm not that happy about it, there could be things about it I'm just not interested in. But if it's a means to an end in the short term, let's do this. So it's not a case of I'm not prepared to put in the graft, but I expect to be respected along the way. So, and I see it, if it's something's meant to be, it'll be. So I'm applying for some of these roles and I'm getting to talk to people, and then I'm not getting the feedback back. And there was one I chased the other day, I think it was Thursday. I got a message out of the blue. It was so surreal. I was sort of moaning to myself, and I do that sometimes out loud because I get really, really fed up. And the argument I was having, and I could come across crazy in that again. Transparency. I don't care how I look. Because life's hard, man. When life's hard, you got to work things out in your head. You've got to figure it out. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. I renewed my forklift, so I actually paid for it myself, and had a 1-day refresher with a reputable trainer, and they were very, very strict with their criteria. They were very, very strict assessors. And I got my forklift license. It's RTITB, so it's a recognised, established one. It's the main one, the big one. When a company wants a forklift license, they want that license. And I got that license 2025 at the end of January. So I've had it for a year. And yeah, I haven't even put it to use. There was a couple of jobs I took, but they were absolute shit. And I thought, I'm not doing it. I won't work somewhere I consider dangerous. So if the poor working conditions are out, I'll just walk out when I did. Or if they've sold me something that isn't what it was, then I'm not doing it either. You know, I took a forklift role. It was only agency. It was poor wages. It was just ridiculous. And I was supposed to just operating a forklift, and it turned out they hired loads of forklift drivers and only had 2 trucks, and they expect the others to just get on and lift some heavy shit and that. And I thought, oh, no, you didn't say that. I've gone through all these levels to get this role. I had to go and pass another test with this company because they had their own on-site training. That was a whole process, which, again, not everyone passes. Pass that, go through the whole stages, and I've spoke about it in the past in previous content. Other areas of the company had these fancy canteens. There was even a cafe part for one area, and it'd be where I was placed. It was too far to get to that, and it would have been too expensive based on your wages. So our tea break area was actually in the middle of the work environment. They just boarded it up. You didn't even have your own locker. You had to put your bag and things on a check. I thought, I'm not working like this. I was like treated like a meal. Because it wasn't what was sold. Again, for me, it's integrity. You've told me this. I've agreed to that. This isn't anything about what you've promised at this shit. Again, if my situation's hard as a consequence, I really don't care. You know, it's like I can take the hits for that. But anyway, like I say, I've been applying for roles, and it's just never advancing. Never advances. And in the past, it would have done quite comfortably. There was a role I could have took back in November. They just didn't follow up for some reason. And there's others well along the way. And there was one that happened very recently last week, or this week, actually, a few days ago. And they put me, so they said, we're going to need a copy of your forklift license. So I did that quite quick. I went straight on the computer, uploaded, sent it to them an email. They hadn't answered me. And normally I don't follow up. I thought, this is doing my freaking head in. I'm dealing with morons, to be totally honest. It's unreal, isn't it? Like, I don't want to be horrible, but like, I think there's people here with positions they're not very qualified at. So I just messaged them back because I thought, at least clarify to them if they're not checking their email. You ask for an email. If you're not going to check your email, then what are we doing around here? So I thought to myself, I bet they haven't even checked their email. So I might as well text them back because it was through text. Email this. So I just said, just let you know, I emailed the forklift license 2 hours ago. I tried not to be rude, but it's like 2 hours ago. I'm just making sure. Hopefully it went through fine. I tried to be as light-hearted as I can with it, but I thought this is pissing me off. Then they get back to me, go, oh, thank you. Yeah, I've received that. Unfortunately, the employer has got back to us and told us and informed us that they're interviewing someone tomorrow morning. But we'll see if we can find you something else or something. I thought, oh, this is a joke. This is a joke. You've just asked me to do this shit. I've just done it all, and we're playing silly bollocks. But this is what it's been like for me quite a lot. Like, you know, it's like where I am, there used to be an awful lot of jobs. Now it's dried up a bit, and it's moved just to, I'd say, slightly to a different area. Which because I'm quite good with logistics, so I can understand why you would move it there. Where's going to be the better site. and it's about an hour away, so it's too much for travel, for cost of fuel, for me to be able to do that. And it's frustrating because over there's plenty of jobs. It's a bit like It's a bit like mining, for resources. If you was there, there's loads of jobs. They pay well. Where I am, it's dried up a bit, and it's become a bit of a frenzy, really, where people just want to get the roles that are there. So you're just competing with each other. But part of the problem as well is I don't even want it anyway. I just want just steady income. I don't want to do the job. It sucks. I've done that shit for too long. So the way I see it is life will work out how it's supposed to. So look, ain't ideal struggling, is it? But there is a part of me that just thinks if it was meant to be, you'd have it. If you didn't get it, you're being saved from doing something that really was beneath you anyway. And sometimes our biggest blessings come during our worst moments too. Like back in 2020, the reason I know about my breakthroughs is because certain events happen, so it's easy for me to trigger the memory. For instance, my spiritual awakening happened in 2020. And how do I know it's 2020 specifically? Because in 2020, it was back in February of that time, because I was reading a horoscope, my horoscope, and it said you're seeking answers, you're getting inquisitive of like existence in the universe. Someone will come to you with like help support you with that journey. And we're out of nowhere. I've said it so many times. This woman named Laurie, it was on Twitter back then. It was Twitter, and she just messaged me out of the blue. Just said, "I've read your book," and she just talked about horoscopes and astrology and things. And then she's mentioned Matt Kahn. I haven't seen his content for ages, but it was interesting because it was like confirming to me things I was already thinking. But anyway, that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And I was obviously seeking answers for myself and processing and understanding things like life's bigger than what we perceived it to be. And then July that year, I was just fed up in my flat. I was just fed up with neighbors and all sorts of things. I just thought, I know I want to move. I want a house. I just want a house. I want a house of my own. And I said it to myself. It was a deep intention within myself. And I didn't realize I was manifesting at that moment. I just thought, that's what I want. More than anything, that's what I want. And I'm not making it up when I'm saying within a week of me saying that, someone reached out to me. So I was in social housing. So it's cheaper housing, but you can stay there for your life. As long as you pay your rent and things, you can stay there for your whole life. And it'll always be cheaper than private. And it's stable. So it's effectively you own it for the most part. You don't actually own it, but you might as well. You just can't pass it on, really. So I was like, I just want to swap my flat for a house, but no one's going to swap, especially in my local area. Who would swap in your local area? Who would want to, if you're in the similar area? Why would you downgrade? So someone 100 miles away reached out to me and said they're looking to move to my area because they've got family there and they're not really settled where they are. Would I be interested? And they had a house. I had the flat. And they knew it was a flat, but they'd exhausted their options. They'd tried swapping with someone for a house before and the person let them down. So they were a bit worried about people letting them down. I said, no, I'm definitely interested because I just wanted a house. And I didn't mind moving away. So I was like, and I look at the area. I'm not just going to do stupid shit. I was like, no, that'd be fine. But from a logistics point of view, it'd be fine as well, job-wise. And it was at the beginning. But anyway, that happened in July and then we moved and swapped by, I think it was September. Or we moved in, I think, but October. I think it was October or September. I think it was October. Yeah, I think there's a slight delay. So I think something like that. Anyway, September, October. And that's how I know about my spiritual awakenings 2020, because I also know I moved in 2020. But again, that was a weird thing that happened. And that happened when I released control, funny enough. She was getting anxious. This woman was getting really anxious because things were getting delayed and it weren't any of our faults. It was that my housing officer was on holiday. And once you start the process, it has to happen in a certain window or it gets cancelled. We got down to the final hour, and I'm not even exaggerating. We was on the final day, and I was informed by my housing officer, I don't know if it's heard specifically or that department, but if if it's not resolved by today, we'll have to cancel it. But they're trying to sort it out. I don't know what the issues were, but the person I was swapping with, they said to put pressure on your housing officer. Get it. I said, no. I said, look, we've been putting pressure everywhere. Let's just let them figure it out now. If it's not supposed to happen, it won't. If it is, it will. Just let it go. Because the thing is, you're just delaying the person anyway. You're just using up their time that they need to get things done. And I got a phone call. I think I was in the car. I think it was 4:30 in the evening, and they close about 5 or half 5. And I just got a phone call from the housing officer to say it's been approved. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like, I thought it was going to be, but that was like close to the final hour. And so I've been there where things happen at the very last minute and you just couldn't make it up. Couldn't make it up. And because I have that experience, I also know anything in our life can happen. If you think about it like a miracle, it doesn't mean you don't deserve the miracle either. Don't put it down to that. But things can change our life dramatically, and it could be at any moment of any day. That's what I've learned from that. So it can seem like life's lost causes sometimes, and maybe nothing's ever going to work out. But there's always going to be a life-changing moment. And if you think about it, it's never going to be... When do we expect the life-changing moment to happen? Is it a set moment in the day? Is it just before we go to bed? Is it immediately when we wake up? When do we think that's going to happen? Because realistically, it's going to happen at every random moment of any day. So you could have 10 days in a row where you go, oh, look, nothing's happened. So obviously it's never going to happen. Well, it didn't happen on them days. You've still got 10 more days. It just happens whenever. So we can get demoralized and lose hope, or we just go with the flow. So although doors seem to keep getting closed on me, which is getting frustrating because, you're putting yourself forward and things are not working out. Meanwhile, you've got the financial pressure from bills constantly. And if one of these opportunities you just got it, all of a sudden, you can make the money quite swiftly, and it'll be able to repay all these bills. And then you'll have more sustenance in your life. But when you keep getting the door closed constantly, you can't understand why. That's not a particularly nice feeling when you've got the pressure coming from the other side. But I just see it as I'm just stuck in the middle. The way I see my life is I'm stuck between two worlds. I'm stuck between the past and stuck between the future. I'm really in this in-between phase where the door hasn't opened to the future, and it's almost like the door's closed to the past. So even if you apply for things in the past, you don't get them. It is absolutely surreal. That's not to say I won't get anything. It's just that at the moment, it doesn't seem to be working out. But it hasn't opened the door on the other side just yet either. But I'm trying to just relax and go with the flow. And because there's no point beating myself up about something I can't control. The only thing I can control is my spending. It's not like I've got a lot of wiggle room with that. It's just, we all want things too. I refuse to be like miserable every day. So I'll try to make myself happy in pockets. Look, I'm not an idiot, so I don't just go and spend money I don't have to the extreme. It's not like I'm making extravagant purchases. It's just a little bit here and a little bit there, and it's just saying, I want that, and I'm not going to keep waiting months. I've had enough. And I understand the hit that it'll cause, and it's like, it's the hit. And like I say, I want my daughter to have things too, and I'm not prepared for both. And it's just a dual thing. I'm not prepared to let us both suffer. So the way I see it is, I'm going to suffer anyway. I'd rather you're happy, and I'll just take the extra hit on my end. So I'll just take the double hit of misery, and I want you to be happy, at least as happy as you can at the moment. And that's where we're up to. I'm not sure this has really made sense in terms of the flow state. I'm hoping people can understand what I'm trying to say there. Because I think what people struggle the most with really is giving themselves grace. People are really hard on themselves naturally, I think. Expect yourself to be perfect, expect everyone else around to be perfect. Life isn't always so wonderful. It's a bit like if you was in a relationship, for instance. People want to be the best version of themselves, at least at the beginning. They wouldn't want you to be bored of them. There's a vulnerability and an insecurity in people where they wouldn't want you to discard of them because they show you something that's perhaps a flaw. With me, I see life like a healing journey. I wouldn't expect someone to be perfect. So like, for instance, let's say I got in a relationship with someone and even early on in a relationship, they're feeling a bit down. So they feel depressed. They don't know why they're depressed. It's not about you. So it's not about like, if she's in a relationship, it's not about me, but they're just not always happy. Well, I just see that as a trauma response. It's like, you don't, look, I wouldn't want someone to pretend they're happy around me. If you're not happy, it's fine. I can understand. I can handle that. It wouldn't make me wouldn't make me lose respect. It wouldn't make me less interested. But I'd offer support where I can. But if they want space to themselves, you offer that space because it's really important that people process things anyway. It's not an attack on me. It's just a healing journey for them. So I wouldn't want someone to sort of pretend to me they're happy where deep down inside they're trying to process something. Trauma takes time to repair. It doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, if someone's gone through things in their life, I wouldn't expect a relationship just to blossom immediately and then everybody's just hunky dory. You've got to whittle away the pain, because people, like I say, people have insecurities as well. So let's say relationships rarely work out, or someone always lets them down, or they mistreat them. Even if they like you, in the back of their mind, they might think that's what's going to happen next. It's not going to work out. You're going to leave, or you're going to treat me poorly, or you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I think that something like that is going to require time, isn't it? Because the only way they're going to realize that's not going to happen is through time, because they'd have seen that through the progress. But you couldn't possibly know that early on because you haven't seen the result yet. All you can do is go with the flow and hope, and have faith that it will work out. But like I say, I think it's really important that you give people grace, but they also give themselves grace to say, look, I'm trying here and I'm working on myself, but I have low days as well as the good days, and I might be unbearable on my low days. But it's like, okay. It's just that's how you deal with relationships, though. It's like, I don't think you can't expect people to be perfect all the time. When I have to, I think that'd be worse if someone had to pretend to be happy when they're not. I think that would be worse. You'd rather they were just open, because then to give them space when they want space, and to be there when they need you. Your team is where I see it. But yeah, look. The thing about me is, so I'm showing the hard parts of life. The thing, it doesn't act. That's certain aspects of life, but it doesn't make me less confident in me. It's just a reflection of a circumstance. It don't make me feel inferior in any way. It doesn't make me feel I'm not worthy of something, or I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that. No, I know I'm good at what I do, and I know I deserve more than I have. It's just waiting for the doors to open. Sometimes it's actually for our own benefit, it's our own safety. Sometimes we I don't want to say in my case, but I'll talk about. I don't want to say it as a specific. Let's just say this is what I believe. Fair way of saying it. I think I believe I've progressed too fast. So things that are meant for me feel delayed, but really I've got to, let's say think of it like finish. Let's not say finish line, because I mean that suggests that you've perfected something. I'd say checkpoint. It's not even a race though. It's just a checkpoint through life. You've got chapters of a book. Like your life is a chapter, so it's a checkpoint. I feel like I get to the checkpoint before the rest of the life has caught up with that checkpoint. So the cogs, the mechanisms, the people, the opportunities, situations, yeah, everything else is in its own timeline, isn't it? You can't press fast forward. So let's say your next progress towards your next chapter, for instance, or the next checkpoint, requires someone else to be on that journey, or someone to enter your life, or someone to offer you this opportunity. I can't press fast forward on other people's lives and expect them now to catch up with me because I'm there. That's not how life works. I've done the work. I've put myself there. I have to then be patient as I can, which isn't easy, for the rest of the things to catch up with me. And then I go into the next phase with the life that I'm supposed to have at that moment. And I just feel like I do things too fast. And I know I do, because even my book I released earlier than I should have done. Like, not what I should have done, but what was expected. So then let's say anybody was aware of my book, they wouldn't expect it out yet. And here we are. So that's what I'm like. I'm just quite rapid with my growth. I don't really want to make this to be about signs and things, but I get a lot of signs for my future, and it's usually quite big. I don't want to keep talking about things like that because it doesn't really interest me deep down. To be totally honest, it's just if that's what I'm supposed to be, that's where I'm supposed to be. If from my own point of view, I genuinely couldn't give a shit. Like I only want, like for instance, I do get signs that I'll be in the spotlight. There'll be opportunities. You do all this. There's big things I could potentially achieve. So okay, if that's where I end up, that's where I end up. Now you could feel insecure within that. Let's say someone offers you an opportunity, you might feel it's a bit overwhelming. All of a sudden, you question your abilities. because it can be quite debilitating. I think the pressure that comes with it and the expectation. Because if you was given anybody could think you can just step into a big opportunity if you're given one. What people fail to think because they don't process enough is realizing how overwhelming that could be. Because it's going to be easy to make yourself question. If you saw someone doing something, it looks easy, doesn't it? If you do it yourself, it's not that easy. Let's say, for instance, in the future, you're on stage talking to people. That comes with all its own things. But all those people staring at you, can you stay focused? Can you continue with the same mannerisms and the way you hold yourself as you normally would with so much attention on you in that moment? Will you stay on point and not get distracted? There's so many things, pressure that comes from. But if you saw someone doing it and it looks effortless, you just naturally think it's easy. But it can be actually overwhelming. And some people sabotage themselves in the sense they think, oh no, I can't do it. I can't do it. My attitude is just do it. Just do it. So if you do get anywhere in life and you do have to challenge yourself in that way and you have to push yourself, it's like even though within yourself you've done something quite remarkable that you could have easily turned away from. So with all that in mind though, within myself, if those opportunities are meant for me and that's going to be the checkpoints and the chapters and whatnot, fine. But for me personally, all I want to do is sell my books. All I want is my books to sell. Let's say someone's going to come into my life, they're going to be a mentor, or they're going to help open doors for you. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that. That's great. That's great. But fundamentally, all I want to do is I don't even care about any of that. I'm not saying I won't do it or it wouldn't interest me later. But I'm fine. What I'm saying is I'm fine though with just writing my books and selling my books. I know like people might think, oh, you can do even more than that. That's great. But I'm quite content. If my book sold and did well and I was just self-sufficient in that way, I'm fine with just that. That's good enough for me. That's fine. That's really what I want. So the fact that books don't sell is a big frustration for me because I've done the work and it doesn't make sense. Because I see people struggling in life, like genuinely struggling in various areas. And I look and just think, bloody hell, man. If people just knew of my books and word of mouth spread, there'd be certain ones that help specific people. They really, really would help people. And I can't make them see it. And I don't like promotion. I don't like self-promoting. But it's just, I see people struggling. It's just like, if they just had the book, though. And I see them trying to find things, and it's just, it's for me to market my own books doesn't have the impact. If I say, oh, but I've got a book here, you don't think, oh, you're just a salesman. You're just selling your own. That's what it is. So I'm not even going to go around doing that crap. What can you do, Like, for instance, what many people probably won't realize is the depth of my life in what I've been through. I've effectively had multiple lifetimes in a single life. Most people go through things in life anyway. So there'll be other people who had their own issues and their own transformations. But we all have a unique journey. So if you just look at my books, A Father's Daughter, Heartbroken Daughter, that was going through family court, parental alienation, false accusations, me fighting for my daughter with everything I have. So that was A Father's Daughter. Heartbroken Daughter was the aftermath of family court. Continuing to be in my daughter's life and continuing to have to fight outside of court for her. So let's say there's parents, especially single fathers, but even mothers, or even people who are, even if people who are in relationships, it's like maybe that will help give people, I think it helps give people a sense of perspective. Don't use your child as a weapon. It doesn't matter how much you don't like your partner now, your ex-partner now. It's like, don't go down that path where you're going to be spiteful and vindictive against each other. Just respectfully separate, but don't make the child the center of that battle. And if so even if someone was in a relationship, for instance, and they're thinking of separating, it's like I would like to think that my book, if someone was to read it, if let's say they're about to be quite selfish and vindictive, I would like to think that it would help make them step back and say, you know what, I don't want us to go through what happened there. Let's just sort it out now. Let's be fair with each other. Let's calm down. And if you can get to that point, it'd be like, bloody hell, that's helped. Or let's say someone who has gone down that path where it is a bit of battle. Hopefully, it shows people there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, although I don't talk about those books a lot because I've moved on from that, I wrote that my daughter was just about to turn 7 when the father's daughter, the events in the father's daughter happened. Then that went off about a month, a year and a half, and then I wrote the book. So that was at an earlier stage of her life. She's now 15. So it's not something I want to keep regurgitating. I don't want to keep going to that bitter place where there was fighting all the time. It's like we've moved on from that. I don't argue with her mum anymore. We don't communicate anymore. It's just like, it's almost like a peace pact. It's like, I just let them, they don't need to interfere with me. I don't need to interfere with them. Just, you don't talk about me. I don't talk about you, sort of thing. It's just, that's what it is now. So I don't really want to keep going backwards into that. I've gone past that. It's just, so I was writing the third book in that series. I've wrote half of it, but I just don't get joy from it. I didn't get joy from writing them. They just had to be done. And I haven't brought myself to finish it, to be totally honest. I could do if I wanted to, but I don't even know if I want to go there. It just opens a can of worms and goes down a negative path because there's a lot of negativity that happened in that period where I was writing it, because that's literally what happened. And I don't know. Maybe one day it'll get finished. Maybe one day it won't. Since then, we moved on from that. Let's say someone's going through a spiritual activation. They're starting to feel like there's more to life than just what we've been spoon-fed. And the universe is this grand, magical place. And we're a cog in that mechanism. But we're a bigger cog than we realized. Life doesn't just happen by chance. Well, a losing your mind to find your soul is going to help with that. Personally, I think I think that will, because that explores the beginnings of a spiritual awakening. You get to see my breakthrough with that, and then my experiences for this, and the people I've met along the way. And I think that'll be enlightening to people personally. I think that'll be really, really revolutionary. And then the rest of the books after that have been about personal growth development. So there's certain segments within that. Maybe we'll talk about cancel culture. Maybe we'll talk about raising our children, setting boundaries with people. It's like kindness. It's just following your own path. Sometimes you're going to take detours. You might follow one path. Maybe you're going down the path of education. You go college, university. It's not working out. So don't beat yourself up about it. Don't force yourself to do something that's not really working out for you anymore. You can pivot. Some people say it's a failure, but it's not. You've learned something. It's growth. You've learned something you don't like. So go and do something else. A lot of time we don't know what we want until we figure out what we don't want. So you're going to go through a lot of experiences that may be a bit demoralizing and frustrating. But you don't like that. I know I don't like that. Definitely don't like that. Now all of a sudden, you start aligning with things. Yeah. That's what I want to do with my time. You're only going to figure that out by finding the things you don't. So that's really what I'm trying to get to people. It's like trying to make them find themselves and just return back to themselves. Because the more you are in touch with who you are, the less other people's impressions of you really bothers you. It doesn't matter. Because you realize that most people are walking around with masks. Most people are frustrated. They just won't have the balls to say they are. So most people are flawed. Example in me there, I explain how I'm struggling financially. Let's say someone who has a decent amount of money coming in. They might look and think, and then they think bad low of me. And then maybe they start being critical. They'd be a bit spiteful. And they think, oh, you're pathetic. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Because they just want to posture as being better. Yeah, maybe they are doing better in life. Kudos to them. I'm not in competition. Seems like they're in competition with me because the way they're behaving. I'm not in competition, so I don't care. You're making it a competition that I'm not even a part of. Whatever. Have fun with your life. But there will be certain people who will behave like that, who have an inordinate amount of debt, ranging from anywhere from like £15,000 to £30,000 plus. They'll have that amount of debt weighing on them. And then they have the audacity to ridicule me for a moment, just a moment where finances are hard. So in that moment, yeah, okay, you have more resources than me that you can actually enjoy yourself, but you also have an incredible amount of baggage behind you. Think of it like a bank and a vault. Theirs is full of IOUs, like heavy IOUs, that it's going to take us so long to get out of that. My IOUs is just a little few pieces of paper on the floor. It's not a lot. I just don't have a lot right now as a resource. They have more resource, but they've got a lot to repay. My situation could be turned around within a 3 to 6 month period. So I always say it, I don't expect to be struggling all year. It's just right now is a struggle. But if you used to ask me by August, will I be struggling? I very much doubt it. I would not expect to be struggling by August. Doesn't mean I won't, but I wouldn't expect to be. And once I've even got just even a modest income coming in, I'll start repaying. My focus will be repay anything that's outstanding. And then mine will be, by the end of this year, I would expect to be clear of most of my debts, if not all of them. And I would say someone that potentially ridicules me now is still going to continue carrying their debts for a good few years, perhaps even more, especially if they haven't learned their lesson. If they're already in that amount of debt and they haven't got control of it anyway, and they've got their finances in order to a degree, like they've got their income, that's what they're working with. They've already reached the peak of their income. If they're not working on how they're going to solve this crisis behind them, how are they ever going to get out of it? My crisis, because I don't have anything, my resources are so low at the beginning. But once my resources increase even just a little bit more, all of a sudden I can start getting some of this shit off my back. By the end of the year, I'm debt free. So let's see so in a year's time, I've gone from being maybe this pathetic thing you want to ridicule to now I'm starting to establish myself and be a bit more secure, stable, and even perhaps even thriving. So it's funny how things can turn around, isn't it? It's all perceptions. So if someone wants to project and ridicule, there's nothing to do with me. It doesn't bother me. But I think that's the thing. Once you're in touch with yourself, once you're in tune with you, you don't really care about what other people are doing because most people are fake. So some of these people that act like they've got their life together, they're hiding that debt behind them. But I'm transparent about my situation. And these people are not. I think, look, what have I got? I don't know exactly because I haven't sat down and wrote it recently, what I've got going on. I wouldn't say I've got more than maybe, I don't even know what I've got now. I don't think I've got that many things. £1,000 in debt, I guess, perhaps. Plus maybe my phone, because the iPhone's to maybe 2,000 at the most, because the iPhone's £1,000 phone, isn't it? I'd say about that. I don't think it's much. And when I said 1,000 to begin with, I'm not even sure it's that much. I'm just trying to be reasonable with it. So yeah, let's say £1,000 in debt, perhaps. I don't really know. I don't think it's even that. I think it's less. I think it's less than that. Plus £1,000 for an iPhone. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's not, what's that? You know, you pay £300 off. Even if you did £300 a month towards your debts, that's done within 6 months, 7 months. I don't know. £100 a month, yeah, for 7 months or so. But that's what I'm trying to say. Is like my situation isn't precarious. I've not got 20 grand's worth of debt sitting on my shoulder. I haven't got crazy shit. It's just at the moment, finances are tight, and I don't seem to have a way out of it at the moment, which is demoralising. So I could wake up every morning and refuse to wake up. You can just lay in bed and sulk. I don't do that. I get up every day. I do have days where I do say quite often, and this is a reflection of my circumstance, not of me. So when I say this, I'm not putting myself down, but I probably shouldn't say it so much, because when we talk about manifestation, you should really keep your eye on the prize. But I do say it a lot of the time, like, my life sucks. Like, this is shit. I say that a lot, and totally honest. My life sucks. This is shit. That's a reflection of my circumstance, not me. I'm not saying I suck. I'm not saying I hate me. I'd never say that. I'd never say I hate me. No, I love who I am. I would always love who I am. Yeah. So circumstance don't define who we are, but that circumstance still have an impact on our quality of life. So yeah, I do get fed up, and like I say, I'm honest about it. Yeah. I know what I do could help people overcome challenges, find themselves, and really start to love who they are. And I can't help but think, let's say someone's doing well for themselves money-wise, got a good life. And let's say they've got a relationship, they're really happy in that relationship, but they just sometimes struggle with themselves. They struggle to find, maybe they have those things, but they're struggling to find the happiness in their daily life. You know, they almost like, and it comes from the fact they don't feel good enough, or they're struggling to let go of the past. Maybe they feel someone's going to leave them at any moment. There's all these things, sometimes insecurities in people. You make people fall in love with themselves all over again, and literally genuinely love themselves, then they can appreciate that, then they can really understand that someone can love them because they love themselves that much. They know their qualities. So it stands to reason someone's going to love them. Of course they will. So now they've got a spring in their step. So now they have this self-love. They have this relationship that is going to thrive even more, and they're doing well financially. And it's like, so they've got a nice quality of life. It's like, it's beautiful. You know, and that's the whole point anyway, to give someone a beautiful life. And then I sit back and I think, and again, this isn't jealousy or envy, by the way, and this isn't me wishing on anyone to have not have, because that's not the point at all. The whole point is for people to have that. But sometimes we look at our own life and just think, how far am I from that myself? So imagine being the one helping people achieve that for themselves, but in my own life, I'm still struggling with the things that would in mine too. Like I'm always going to have that self-love. I'm always going to have that confidence in myself. I could literally be living in a tent and I'd still know my qualities. You know, it's just the world doesn't respect my qualities. That's how it'd feel. And it's like, my values are lost in this world. Okay. Doesn't mean I'm not worth it. Just this world isn't worth me. You know, that's the thing. But yeah, you could end up helping people and transform their lives. But meanwhile, I'm struggling for money all the time and I don't have that relationship. It's not like I'm desperate for a relationship. It's just love around you, you know, like genuine love. I wouldn't want a bad relationship around me. That'd just drain the shit out of me. I wouldn't be able to put up with it, to be honest. It's toxic, no. Nothing worse than feeling a shell of yourself and having to tiptoe around someone in your daily life. So even though I say, oh, my life sucks, I'm so fed up. That's reflecting on where I want to be. If I actually think about what I have compared to some other people, like people who are in relationships and they're miserable, I do realize I have freedom and autonomy of my life. I literally can do what I want at any moment, and there's something quite beautiful about that. Now, it would be nice to coexist with someone who is compatible, of course, but if the alternative is to be with someone who's incompatible, no chance. I'd rather be alone and have freedom or autonomy of my life. So yeah. So the point really, I guess, there is the fact that sometimes we're missing things we want and maybe crave. But if we haven't quite got that, we should have, by having ourselves, we have more than we would need. Hopefully that's what people are seeing as I talk. Maybe you'll see the frustrations and maybe you'll see the misery that's surrounding things. But I would expect, and not because I put on a front or anything, because I'm just the way I am. It's just, this is it. Hopefully people see that even through the struggles, I don't lose respect for myself. I always hold a vision. And that's the one thing. I would never lose that vision. And and again, people can put things down to naivety, and I'd understand that. You expect this to happen. Everything's told you so far that's not going to happen based on your circumstances. So what makes you believe that that can happen for you? Because I know it will. Simple as that. I don't expect to stay in this. I'm too good at what I do to stay in my circumstance permanently. And even if, and let's put it this way, let's say there is a naivety, even if that is the case, then that is the path that I'm set to have. And this is why I say, again, with the universe, and I try not to blend my spirituality with videos I do if it's not specifically a spiritual video. But I do say that to the universe. Like, I get fed up, believe me. And I always say that. I put this in example while I'm doing this. It was something I did the other day, and people think I'm nuts, but I don't care. Because I know my guides listen to me all the time. Yeah. So I can ask, I could use my tarot cards now, and they'll answer me a question. I'm not going to do it. I've done enough videos. I was bringing that just in case I need it, but I'm not really going to use it. So they're always there. And I just made it clear to them that I've had signs for a long time that my breakthrough's coming. And I've had it ever since really nearly the first few books. And it was always a case of once this book's done, your breakthrough comes. Breakthrough never come. A year later, we do the next book. Breakthrough's due to come. It didn't come. Again. Now I see the signs. I don't listen so much because I know, look, perhaps it will, perhaps it won't. I'm sure there's going to be another book that needs to come out. That's what it's like for me now. And so my argument was, you're always dangling a carrot in front of me. Do this, and that'll be the thing that changes it. Do this, that'll be the thing that changes circumstance. Do that. Because you knew I would never have started the process of creating the books if I didn't think it was leading to something. So you kept putting the carrot in front of me to make me keep moving forward. Kudos. That's what I said. Well done. Because you got me to do it. You got me to do it. But that's what's happened. You know? I'm proud of myself for it. And I would have, I'm not sure, I don't know how much I would have done if I didn't think it was leading to something, because you have to have something to spark it in the first place. But now, like I've said to Spirit Source, even if I'm poor for my whole life, I'm still going to create, because I've got things I want to share with the world. I've got things I want to do. and it goes beyond money. So although it wouldn't be fair, if that's the life that I'm supposed to live, then that's the life I'm supposed to live. So it doesn't mean I won't kick up a fuss throughout. It won't mean I won't get frustrated that my life's hard. But if the journey for my life was ordained for me to be poor throughout, and you was never really going to reap the rewards, you was just going to create and create and create, and that'll be for the next generation, perhaps, then that's the life for me. It's not, if that's the life that I come here to do, then that's what I come here to do. Whether it's fair or not, it doesn't matter. So what people probably don't realize amongst all of this is they probably see the ambition I have. There's probably a level of naivety, I'm guessing, that people might think is there. But they might not realize that I am prepared to... I'm prepared to be frustrated my whole life if it means I'm fulfilling my destiny. So although I'm ambitious, it's not like there's a cut-off time. It's just a case of I'm just doing what I feel called to do at any given moment. And if life has to be hard for me as a consequence, then it has to be hard for me as a consequence. So I'm not doing... So that's the thing. I think that might be the thing that people misinterpret. Because obviously I want a nice life for myself. Of course I want good experiences. Who wouldn't? But if people think I do what I do because I want those things, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. I will continue to do these things even if I'm poor. Because that's what I'm here to do. So if there's a book in me and there's something I'm working on, I'll do it. So at least there's 2 more at the minute. Whether I get a breakthrough before or after them, who knows? Only the universe knows that answer, doesn't it? All I can do is just say, okay, on with the next one. On with the next one. But somehow I've got to try and get my circumstances improving. So there is a flow state, but I am also taking action. But what I'm not doing is pushing it. So I'm not chasing things up all the time. It's just ridiculous. If I apply for something and I do all the steps that I was required to do and it doesn't work out, then I just see it as it weren't supposed to work out. It's not for me to force it. And I think that's the bit that contradicts maybe what other people would do, because you'd probably keep badgering and badgering and badgering. And you get the opportunity, but then you might go into that place and it's like demoralizing. It's a toxic culture. Perhaps you was being safe from that environment because we see an opportunity. We think, oh, that'd be good for us. Maybe it won't. Or maybe we'll get offered something that comes along randomly out of the blue. And it could be something similar. Of course, it doesn't have to be a massive groundbreaking event. It can be something similar, but maybe a bit more aligned with what you need. And sometimes, before we finish here, is let's say I'm going to get a big breakthrough at some point in career. I'm not again. I've said if it doesn't, it doesn't. But it might be. Let's say, put it in hypotheticals. It's February now. Let's say a breakthrough is going to come August, and I'm like, God damn, I shouldn't. Let's say I'm sitting again. I shouldn't have to go into a warehouse and back into that old life. I've already done the work for the new life. And let's say finances are really hard, like it's unbearable, like it is. And then the universe is watching and thinking, well, he can either suffer until August. I think I said August. Let's say roughly August. Again, I'm just using hypotheticals. If he can suffer to August, he can suffer to August. But that's the break. That's when things are going to work out for him. But let's say it gets too much for me and I'm sort of like becoming heavy. I'm a slog. I'm losing willpower, if you like. Because maybe when that breakthrough comes, you're supposed to be enthusiastic. You're supposed to be excited for what's going to come. And you're supposed to be confident going into it. But you being down every day and beating yourself up and getting frustrated with this, getting frustrated. When the August comes, you might not be in the right state to receive it. And you don't want to lose all that progress. So maybe an opportunity will come going backwards for a moment just to help with your circumstance, give you a bit of a pep in your step, take the pressure off. So it's not a case of you're taking a backward step permanently, but it's just till the next breakthrough comes. And that's how I see it all. That's how I see it all. So I don't see it as if I go backwards, it's backwards forever. It's just take the pressure off for a moment. And that's literally what when I think about it now, saying it, that's what I've always done with my books. I've left jobs to write my books. It's put me in a financially precarious position because one, I'm an impatient person. So when my mind's focused on something, like really honed in, it's a bit like a shark. You know, when a shark, once it's on it, it's prey or whatever, it just freaking switches. That's what I'm like with my projects. It's like I've switched. My mind just honed in, and it's just like really focused on this. The idea of going somewhere that's boring to me, monotonous, it's tedious, it's just shit. I don't pay your bills, it gives you money, but go in there when I can do this work, this creative pursuit, and create something out of nothing, and it's the thing that I generated myself. I want to do this. And yeah, it's okay, it's not going to pay me today, and it may never pay off. But if I don't commit to this now, it may never happen. No one knows how long they're here for. Like I could say, oh, I'll stay at that job and I'll work and I'll do the book and it'll take a year instead of a few months. You might not be alive in a year. Anything can happen at any day. I want this out. I want this done. So I take risks that I know are unstable at times. But for me, it's a means to an end. And then in between them, I go back to traditional jobs and I just muck in, I get the job done. And then if I have another book I want to do, so it's not like I plan to leave in a year's time and do a book. It's just I get another concept for a book and I'm like, I need to do this book. And sometimes I try and juggle it, but working full time and then doing a book on the side, when am I free to enjoy life? Like, you're just exhausted. You're burnt out all the time. Other people get to come home, put their feet up, have a beer, do this, whatever they want to do with their private time. I'd be coming home working on a book. When do I get to relax? And it's exhausting living like that. You can't. It's not sustainable. So you have to lose something to gain something. And for me, I'd rather lose the stability of the job and be able to create my pursuits. So every single one of these books has come at a time of a crisis. And I think that maybe that's lost on people. I don't even know I don't think any of them were written during a moment of stability. No, I don't think they were. There was always something weighing on me. And I still get it done. So really, look, again, I don't do anything simple. I just want to inspire people, man. I just want to inspire people to say, look, life isn't always going to be how we want it to be. And there's going to be every reason to throw a hissy fit and stay down and not get out of bed and not have hope. Or you just do the opposite to that shit. Just say, freaking hell, man, I'm just going to get up and get on with this shit. Pity party ain't going to get me nowhere. Me sulking every day ain't going to freaking improve my circumstance. What's going to improve my circumstance more is literally finding that fire in myself to ignite something special and then just pursue it, pursue something, do something with my life, That's literally what I'm like. So it's not like I say that to myself every day. We're going to pursue this. I don't do that shit. I just get up and go, God damn, I'm freaking pissed off. And maybe I'll sit there for like 5 minutes and I just, bollocks. And I just get up. I swear there, but I don't really care. So I just get up and go, sod this shit. I ain't saying like this. I've got too much willpower, too much fight in me to ever surrender. I would never surrender to anything. I just got too much in me. It's a fire that always burns in me. It just can't fade. Even if someone brings me to my knees in a situation really, really demoralizing, there's always a flame just waiting to burst. It just ignites, And that's what I'm like. So it's just like, don't ever... Because the way I see it is, if you stay in a bad situation and you can't find the willpower to get out of it, how the hell is your life going to change? It's just not. So I see it as, if you're miserable today and you decide to stay there, why punish yourself? It makes no sense. It just doesn't. It's like positive steps forward, even if they're very slow. It's a bit like if you think about a hill or a mountain. It's like, let's say you're at the bottom and you start walking up a little bit. You go, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. This is too hard. This is too hard. I'm going back. But the only way you're going to be, let's say it's like a valley or something, and the only way you're going to get to your freedom is the other side of that mountain. Now, mountain might be a big thing. It could be a cliff, whatever. But you get the meaning, though, is that you've got to go up it to get to the other side of it. So you're either going to go up it steadily and slowly, and it takes a whole time, and it's going to push you to the brink. There's going to be storms and all sorts of shit that you've got to get through. But you're going to get through it. Even a little step at a time is still progress towards the top. If you stay at the bottom and just keep turning back every time, you go, it's not worth it, effort. It's too much, it's too much, it's too much. You're going to get left behind. You're going to stay in that valley that's full of despair and frustration and lack. On the other side of the mountain could be opportunity, freedom, something far better. Plus, you've also learned a lot. I didn't expect to start off with this analogy, but it's pretty cool. Now I'm going down that path because I'm thinking about it now. Like, as you go up the mountain, you learn a bit about yourself. You build on your character, don't you? You've learned that resilience, that fortitude, the motivation, ambition. All those things, you're building that quality. Meanwhile, the other person's weak-minded because they're weak-willed. They lack determination. So they're really, what in their back of their mind, without saying it, they're expecting you to come and get them and help them up the mountain. But it's hard enough getting yourself up the mountain. You can't carry everyone everywhere. You can give people advice. You can give them a motivational speech. You can try and say, go for it, mate. I can't hold your hand going up there. It's bad enough me getting myself up this mountain. We've both got legs. We've both got energy. We've both got similar bodies. It's just one's got a stronger mind than the other. The weak-willed person's just falling all over themselves because they're just stuck in their head. The other person's getting on with it. It wasn't any easier for them. They just got on with it. And they've learned a lot. So when they get on the other side of the mountain, it's like, oh, finally, I've done it. And you can't obsess about those that get left behind. People are responsible for their own lives. And that's just what I'm like. So even if it's not a race. So it's a bit like if other people were going up the mountain and you saw them ahead, you go, oh, they're twice as fast as me. Doesn't matter. Their life, they're living their life how they're supposed to. You're living your life how you're supposed to. I'll get to my destination when I'm supposed to. Maybe someone got there a few years earlier. Maybe they're doing better than me. That's great for them. That's their life. I'm going wherever I'm going. And when I get on the other end of the mountain, I'll start heading down my path and we'll see where it leads. And that's where I'm up to in my life. See where life goes.